Here we go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Zaggertastic stream. It is I, your friend, the one, the only, ZA Single Guard, Zaggard, and I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, noon, night, evening, whatever time it is for you today. Welcome back to the Dragon's Den, my friends. How are you all doing? Yukino Sarko, welcome. Dunman Puffed, welcome to I, the dumbest of dumb puffs, here once again to serve the dragon. How doth therein fare? Oh, terribly. You're not doing well, Yuki? Oh, that's unfortunate. Physics makes me want to use my potential. Nice pun. I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Good one. I like it. It was very 007 level genius of you. But guys, let's go. First, before we start anything else, I would like to thank each and every one of you who has joined the Dragon Den during the weekend. It's gonna take me a minute to read these. Hero Lagain 456. The beast is here to hack. Welcome. Kate the Blanket, welcome. Alex the Demon 23, welcome. John Sierra _117, welcome each of you. Welcome to the Dragon's Den here, where we have a huge treasure hoard of video games, snacks, sodas, water. Yes, we have a hoard of water. And friends, the most important things in the universe. We have friends here. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I hope you are all gonna have a wonderful time here. I did a thing over the last week, which was very mentally tiring, but I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm not gonna lie, and that is I watched every single James Bond film starring Daniel Craig I watched 5 films in 5 days. I didn't watch them all in order. The first 3 I watched in order, and then I did miss one day. So not 5 days in a row, but 5 films in the week. On Friday, I was too busy. I streamed for a little too long, so I missed that one. But then I saw No Time to Die on Saturday, and on Sunday, which was yesterday, I saw Spectre. So I saw all of them pretty much in order, and I'm just gonna let you guys know, right here, right now, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning for anybody in the live stream. This is a spoiler warning, all right? If you have not seen No Time to Die, I will be spoiling No Time to Die. So when I get to that point, all right, I will let you know again that I'm spoiling that. I'm also going to spoil all the other James Bond films. So if you haven't seen any of the Daniel Craig James Bond films, I don't know why you're here, for starters, but thank you for stopping by. It means a lot. And second, if you don't want them spoiled, go see them first, then come back to this video, and then we can talk about it. I'm here to watch Shane talk about James Bond. Never seen any of them, personally. Well, I don't know how you could not see them personally. I don't follow your logic, friend. So normally I would have them all hidden behind the chat here, but there's only 5 films, and we're just gonna go them in order: Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. And again, real quick, anybody who's just joining, we're going into heavy spoilers for all of these films, including James Bond, No Time to Die. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for that film, I will let you know right beforehand, and I will announce that we're doing spoilers for that, okay? But I'll try to be quicker, because that'll be the last film. But, as you should, let's start with number 1. Casino Royale. The one, the only, James Bond, Casino Royale. The first film to reboot the entire James Bond series with Daniel Craig. And let me just say, as a reboot for a series, this was a really fantastic reboot. Everybody loves this film. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Casino Royale. Everybody talks about it, who remembers, and they're like, man, it was good. I really liked it. And it's actually in a casino. Well, sort of. They're gambling, I think like millions of dollars worth of poker chips to try and catch this one guy, because at the beginning... So the thing that's great about this is it starts off with James, in the first 5 minutes, becomes 007. This is his first run, his first mission as a 00 agent, and he just became James Bond 007. And I love that as the start. And then he's going off on this mission, and he ends up stopping this plane from being blown up. And it turns out there's this guy who collects money from drug cartels, weapon dealers, all sorts of things. He collects their money, and then he's been investing it in things like planes, other companies failing, things that people would, everybody's putting money in, like, oh, this company's gonna succeed, this company's gonna succeed, and then he puts a bunch of money, millions and millions of dollars, into that company failing, and then he hires someone to make them fail, so he makes a bunch of money. Smart thing to do if you don't care about breaking a few laws, or a few hundred laws. And James Bond happens to stop him from blowing up this new plane because they realized that because the villain in it realized that after 2001 9/11, rest in peace everybody, he realized that if your plane company fails, the people who vote against you can make a lot of money, a lot of really good money. So what he's going to do is there's this plane company that's going to reveal this new big giant luxury plane, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he was going to blow it up and then their stocks would just plummet and he would make millions of dollars. James Bond stops that. So this guy is out of money. And remember, all his money comes from drug cartels and weapons dealers. And they don't like when they don't have their money anymore. Who'd have figured? So he needs to win his money back in this huge gambling tournament. And James Bond is going to gamble against him. And then when that guy is running away, they're going to find him and find the organization that he works for, who's this guy named Mr. White. And in the thing, there's a person who works for MI6 who's the accountant named Vesper. James Bond falls in love with her. Turns out her previous boyfriend was kidnapped by this organization and she had to give up the money to them. And at the end, she dies. And I thought Casino Royale was really good. It was a lot of fun, good action, good suspense, good storytelling, great characters. My only problem is the last 30 minutes, all right? The movie could have ended before those last 30 minutes, but then they have a whole 30-minute thing of him falling in love with her, them having a life. He's going to quit the MI6, blah, blah. Turns out she betrayed him, and then she dies. And it happens in a full 30 minutes. And honestly, before that scene started happening with the crumbling building, I was checking out. The crumbling building brought me back into the movie at the end, but the first 20 minutes before that, I was like, okay, she betrayed him. Oh, no. Yeah. My face hurts. I scrubbed too hard during my shower. Yeah, that's never a good idea. Real quick. So overall, I thought this was a great film. This is a great start to Daniel Craig's James Bond series. This is a great reboot to James Bond in general. It's a great first film. Solid, really launches you into the world of the James Bond series. All right. So I'm going to put this in A. It's just a solid A film. It's just really good. All right, the only problem for me is the last 30 minutes, but even then, I still liked the last 30 minutes. I just was checking out a bit. All right, so maybe this one just goes on a little too long, but I put it in A. Really solid start, really solid film. Now we move on to Quantum of Solace, and everybody agrees this is the worst of all the Daniel Craig James Bond films, and there's a few reasons for that. The first reason that I only learned out recently is apparently this movie came out during the huge writer strike in the US, in Hollywood, that not a lot of people know about, but it did happen. And what it was is a bunch of writers, well, they went on strike because they weren't getting paid enough. And because they went on strike, Daniel Craig and the director had to write the script for this movie. Daniel Craig's not a writer. He's a good actor, a really good actor. Probably even he's a great actor, actually. But he's not a writer. And this film kind of shows that. The other problem with it is that they apparently couldn't get the rights to use the whole organization Spectre. So instead they had to make up the organization Quantum. And this movie is mostly about him getting over Vesper dying and moving on and not being depressed about it and forgiving himself for what happened. And there's this guy who's running this organization Quantum. What's that? Oh, that's my music. I thought the doorbell was ringing. I got confused. Anyway. I'm so dumb sometimes. But anyways, it ends up being about this guy who's part of this organization Quantum, who's going to buy up water in the world and control. It was a cool film. It wasn't great. It was okay. It's a middle of the road, so I'm just going to put it straight to C. There isn't much to say about it. The acting in it is good. The action in it is good. The overall story, it's whatever. Now we get to the big one. The one that everybody loves. Everybody loves this film. Skyfall. Okay, that Skyfall. Oh my god, it's such a beautiful movie. Great villain. He's going after M from the MI6 because she let him die, and he tried to take the tooth pills, the cyanide pills, and it didn't kill him, so he went crazy and he wants to kill M because of that. He wants her to pay for what she did. You know, it is, oh my god, Skyfall is a great film. Beautiful, wonderful. Every scene is suspenseful. The villain is a threat to not just James Bond, but the MI6 and the world as a whole. He has everything planned from the beginning of the film to the end of the film until James Bond outsmarts him. Because James Bond is the better agent, the better spy, the better tactician, the better fighter, better everything by just enough to win. And it's a great film. Everybody knows this is a great film. Everybody loves Daniel Craig's James Bond because of this film, all right? So it gets the S tier. Skyfall, just like the first letter of its name, gets S tier. Now, Spectre. Spectre is, when I first saw Spectre, I did not like it. I was kind of bored when I got out of the theater. I was like, yeah, it was cool, but I was also like, whatever. It's just another one of these villains. It's just a hot girl. It's just James Bond being bad. What does James Bond do before bed? He goes undercovers. Ah-ha-ha! Nice. I like it. That was good. Nice one, Dum Dum. Now with Spectre, it's now I remember not liking when I first saw it. I saw it last night and I actually like it a lot now. Maybe because, to be honest, I didn't see Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace in theaters. Watching Spectre after seeing those 3 films, it actually makes it such a good film. It makes it so much better. If you just watch Spectre by itself, it's just like, eh. If you just see Skyfall and then see Spectre, you're like, it wasn't as good as the first one. It's whatever. But if you watch Spectre after watching the first 3, oh my god, great film, wonderful. I thought it had a great ending. It worked really well. The villain was amazing. I've seen officially adopted the justifying tier with its spelling now. Yes. No, but honestly, Spectre, I wouldn't put an S tier. It still has a little bit of flaws, like it kind of drags a little bit at some points. And it's kind of obvious to see which characters are the villains. Like there's this new character who shows up called C, and he's getting rid of MI6 and the 00 program, and he's going to start this whole group where all the intelligence agencies in the world are going to share their information, and they're going to spy on everybody without anybody knowing so they can stop criminals. Oh my god, he's the villain at the end. Spoilers. Yeah, he ends up being a villain. It was super obvious when I saw him in theaters. It's super obvious. His name is C, by the way. So M Q C. He's it's pretty obvious he's gonna be one of the villains, but he's not the main villain. And I forgot that the main villain is this guy named Blofeld, who, spoilers, like I said, spoilers. It turns out he was James Bond's childhood friend before he became an MI6 agent, and he created this huge organization named Spectre, who was in control of the organization in Skyfall, was in control of the organization in Casino Royale, and was in control of the organization Quantum of Solace. He's the one who killed Vesper, James Bond's first love. He's the one who has James Bond's newest love, this girl here, who's his hostage, and she's the daughter of Mr. White, who is the guy who killed Vesper in the first movie. Mr. White's daughter is the one person who can understand James Bond because she is the daughter of an assassin and a psychotherapist. She would understand him. She's the one person who could love him. And I think it's just a really great film. Super solid. Works out amazingly. It was really good. I loved the way the story came together, the way it ended, and I think Spectre was like the perfect ending for Daniel Craig's James Bond. Unfortunately, we got another one. And the next one isn't bad. It's not bad. I liked it. I think it was good. All right, we'll get to that. But before we get to that, I think this goes in the B tier. Because for this film to be so good, you have to have seen the other 3 films. You can't watch it by itself. It's kind of like... Okay, let me fix this. There we go. It's kind of like Infinity War and Endgame. You have to watch the other films before you watch those 2. So that knocks it down a peg for me. The fact that if you really want to enjoy the experience, you need to watch the other 3 and have good memory of the other 3, it'll make it better. And without that, it's not as good. I'll be honest. It's not as good if you don't watch the other 3. If you just watch it by itself, it's eh. Now we get to the newest film, the one that just came out, James Bond, No Time to Die. Now, I'm warning everybody again. I am warning you all again. I am going to spoil James Bond, No Time to Die. I am spoiling James Bond, No Time to Die. All right, that is your warning. Anybody still here who does not want James Bond No Time to Die to get spoiled, mute me now. Mute me now or leave, all right? I'm spoiling the whole dang film. Everybody got that? Yuki, Dum Dum, you got that? You guys got that? Kitty. Kitty, what am I gonna do? You're gonna spoil James Bond No Time to Die. So everybody leave. Meow. All right. So, in case you can't tell, this woman right here is the same woman from Spectre. It's the same character. The movie literally starts with them being in love. Attention, he's about to spoil James Bond No Time to Die. Thank you, Yuki. Thank you, Yuki. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I made you mod for a reason. You and Dum Dum, you've both done wonderful jobs today so far. And all the other days you've been mods. But anyways, guys. So, No Time to Die starts with James Bond. Or no, it actually starts with her past, when she was a little girl. So we knew she was the daughter of Mr. White, an assassin. Right? One of the greatest ones. And it starts off with her being a little girl with her mom in this, like, really nice house in the middle of, I think, like, Norway. It's completely isolated. And her mom's telling her that her dad's an assassin. And then this guy shows up to kill her dad. Ends up killing her mom, almost kills her, but actually saves her life. Right? And then it starts again with James Bond and her as adults. And they're in love. They love each other. They're being really happy. And all of a sudden, she's like, you have to go to Vesper's grave. Vesper's buried up there. You need to say goodbye to her to move on so we can have a life together. And he's like, okay. And he goes to her grave. And the grave blows up and Spectre shows up. Turns out Spectre was waiting him there and he gets mad at her. He's like, you brought Spectre here. Your dad worked for Spectre. I knew they did. And you're working for them, aren't you? And he doesn't say it in so many words. He says it in the James Bond way of like, how did they know? How did they know? And he puts her on a train and he says, this is the last time we'll see each other. And then he disappears into the distance and she goes on the other way with the train. Well, years later, turns out Spectre's still operating. And he's no longer an MI6 agent. In fact, this girl here, this woman, she's the new 007. She's replacing Bond because Bond left. They have to replace him. And she's even like, I'm the new 007. He goes, it's just a number. Who cares? He doesn't care about it. And I like that. At first, I thought she was going to be annoying. Because she's like, I'm the new 007. I'm better than you. And if you try and take my target, I'll shoot your knee. The good one, right? It seemed like she was going to be this annoying character who was always going to get in his way and be like, I don't like you because you're the old 007. But as the film goes on, I actually liked her. There was not a single character in this film I didn't like. I'm just going to say that right now. Every character in this film, I liked a lot. They were all good characters, even the new 007. So anybody out there who's hating on her for being a female African-American 007, she's literally replacing Bond because he retired in this universe. And she's actually a decent character. She starts off seeming like she'd be annoying, but she gets so good. Trust me. Trust me, she gets good. All right? Now, we're going to move on to actual spoiler-terry. I'm warning people again just in case they're just coming in. Spoiler-terry for No Time to Die. Source, dude, trust me. That's my source. Yeah, dude, trust me. Trust me, bro. She's a cool character. But anyways, so it turns out that Spectre is still operating, and there's a U.S. agent that's been showing up throughout the films every now and then. He always mentions them in every film or sees them. He's a CIA agent, that's it. And his name is Felix something. Felix Tanner, I think is his name. And he's like, hey, James, could you help me stop these guys? He's like, I'm out of the game. It's about Spectre. And he hears Spectre, and he's like, okay, I'm going after Spectre. They ruined my life one too many times. And he goes after Spectre with this guy, and they find this one scientist who made this disease that can kill people based on your DNA. So what it is it attaches microbots to your skin. So it turns out that there are these nanobots that they can put on your skin, right? And those nanobots can never come off. And they'll only kill you if they are programmed to kill someone with your DNA. And you can pass it on to anybody you touch. So if it touches me and I touch a table, and then that touches and then someone else touches that table, and then they touch a doorknob, and blah, blah. Eventually it can get to anyone in the world that I need it to without me finding it, without me ever seeing that. Now, pelicans love licks. It's a thing between us. Don't worry about it. And So they're creating this disease, and Spectre was going to use it to kill James Bond, but not Spectre. But someone swapped it and killed all of Spectre, but didn't kill James Bond. So all Spectre, except for the leader, who was arrested at the end of this movie Spectre, all of them get killed. And then he has to go back, and he sees her, and they have to go talk to Blofeld, because Blofeld will only talk to her. He's the guy who's in charge of Spectre, by the way, and he's in prison because they arrested him at the end of Spectre. And she's like, and she gets, she sees this guy played by Rami Malek, who was the masked guy who saved her life, but almost, excuse me, but also tried to kill her. He gives her a thing to spray on her wrist, and says, use this, and if you touch him, he'll die. Make sure I want him dead. And the reason is because Spectre killed this guy's entire family. So he wants revenge on Spectre for killing his family. And then he is going to manufacture this new biological weapon, nano drug thing, and use it to kill anyone he deems needs to be killed in the world. Obviously, not a good guy. And he also is kind of, I think, in love with her. It turns out she had a daughter. Not just any daughter, James Bond's daughter. She tries to say it's not his because she's mad at him for leaving her, but it's James Bond's daughter. And by the end of the film, she gets captured, and her daughter get captured by Rami Malek. And Rami Malek actually makes a vial of the disease from her hair that he has. And now it'll kill her and her daughter, because they're both related, if he breaks it. And they need to destroy the island that he's making this disease, so that way it can't be spread anywhere in the world. And Blofeld dies, by the way. Big villain, big Bond villain dies. This guy, anyways, he dies. And they go to the island where he's creating the disease, where he has her and the daughter captive. James Bond saves them, but at the end, he has to open the blast doors so that way the missiles can actually get inside the lab and destroy this biological weapon permanently. Otherwise, the missiles will just hit the blast doors and they won't blow up the bioweapon. And so he has to go in there and open it. And as he's opening it, he fights with Rami Malek. Rami Malek breaks the thing that has the nanobots, and it gets on Rami Malek's character and Bond's character. So if Bond ever touches her or her daughter, they will die, which means he'd be killing his the love of his life and his new daughter. So he stands there on the top of the building, takes the missiles. Spoiler alert, he dies. That's the end of James Bond. He dies because if he didn't, his wife and daughter would have. Eventually, even if he never saw them, there's a chance he could touch something that someone else would touch that eventually get to them. And he couldn't risk that. He couldn't risk killing the woman he loves and the daughter he thinks is so beautiful. And that's how James Bond's story ends. Now, here's my thing. I know, Pepe Hands. It's actually a really beautiful ending. But here's the thing. Personally, I don't think James Bond should die. I think he should be allowed to have a happy ending. I think Spectre was the better ending for James Bond for two reasons. One, he got to ride off in the sunset with the perfect woman. The one woman who he could love permanently and who could love him back permanently. All right? He got to ride off in the sunset and have a life with her. Two, the villain at the end of Spectre was not only a big villain for the world, it was not only a big villain who had been antagonizing him throughout the series. He had been controlling all the villains from all the previous movies. But also, he was a person who James Bond knew as a child. This is someone from James Bond past who had been controlling his past, who almost controlled his future, and he stopped. He was a better villain for the end of a James Bond series. This guy, he just hated Spectre, and he wanted to keep her around because he fell in love with her for some reason. He's not a James Bond villain. He's not an MI6 villain. He's just a bad guy. If this movie was like the second or third movie in the series, and it didn't end with James Bond dying, I think this would have been one of the best James Bond films. But it's not. It's the last one, and I think as an ending for James Bond, it's both good and bad. It's both great that, like, seeing the reason that he gives up his life for someone else. He actually finally gives up his life for someone else. But the villain who causes it isn't even his villain. It's not a villain connected to him in any way. It's a villain connected to her. And I think that's like, I think that was a bad idea. I really do. I think that was not a great idea. I think it could have been done way better. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And that kind of lowers the rating for this film, in my opinion. This film could have been S tier, or I don't know. It could have been like a great, perfect ending for Bond. But I think Spectre had the better ending for James Bond, because it was the best last villain for him. This is not a last villain for James Bond, and that really drags the movie down. I think it's still a solid film. I really do, but it's not a great. It's not the best. It's not a solid last film, and that drops it down to A tier for me. I still think it's a really good film. Daniel Craig, a phenomenal performance. Even though it's his last film, he could have been phoning it in so easily. I've seen so many other actors phone in their last films. Harrison Ford, when he played Han Solo in the Return of the Jedi, he was kind of phoning it in a little bit. Daniel Craig did not do that, and it makes me just so much more excited to see more films with Daniel Craig, because it means we get to see him act more. Now, I'm not saying Daniel Craig's acting is bad in these films, but James Bond in these films is always very stoic, very serious, very straightforward, and one type of character. So Daniel Craig doesn't get to have a range of emotions like he could with another character. He does have a range, but not a huge range. And I think, and I still think he does it great. And I still think these movies are all really good movies to watch. Anybody who, well, you should just watch them in order. That's the best way to watch them. Maybe you can skip Quantum Solace, but it's a great film. I think all these films were great. They're all fun. They're all really good to watch. He died as he lived, a hero. Shane almost forgot. Guess what I've planned for Wednesday? What do you have planned for Wednesday? What do you have planned for Wednesday, dum-dum? Before you answer that, I will get into this. Here, now, is this the end of James Bond? No. James Bond has been around since the 60s. He's going to be around until the 2060s. He's going to keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. All right? James Bond is a great character. They're going to keep making James Bond films. Is this the end of James Bond forever? No. Is this the end of Daniel Craig's James Bond? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, the Disney princes, but their fashions are accurate to their fairy tale. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Princess. Okay. Princesses. Anyways. Here's the thing with this. Will we get other James Bond films? Definitely. In 5-10 years, however long it takes, MGM, Amazon Prime, I think, is the one who bought the rights to the James Bond character. However long it takes them to make their next film, however long they wait until wait for this series to kind of die down and make a new one, that's when we'll get a new one. Is this going to be, or is this movie overly political like some people thought it would be? No, it's not. It's not even nearly political at all. There were some people who thought it would be. It's not. Don't worry, guys. It's still a good James Bond film. That being said, this film did underperform for a last film, and I think there are a few reasons. The first reason is the obvious one. The sickness that happened throughout the world. It's kind of keeping people from going to the theater still. I know there are people who went to see other films like Venom 2 and Godzilla vs. Kong. And so maybe that excuse doesn't work, but it still does affect people. Let's be honest. There are still people who don't want to see it. Second, we knew this was going to be the last James Bond film. Anybody who knows anything, Daniel Craig isn't coming back. There wasn't going to be another film, so people probably didn't want to see this last film. And third, Spectre people didn't really like Spectre that much, so maybe they didn't want to see this last one. Other people thought that Spectre was a good ending to it, and they didn't want to see it. And also, the ending for No Time to Die was leaked, and that ending might have turned people off to watching because they don't want to see that type of ending. All right. I haven't seen Venom 2, so I don't know anything about it. All I know is Venom's in it and Carnage is in it because it's called Time for Carnage or whatever, or There Will Be Carnage, whatever. But anyways, will we get more James Bond films? Definitely. 5-10 years from now, we're definitely going to get another James Bond film with a new actor, new writer, new story, all that stuff. It's not going to be Daniel Craig. Will it be different from James Bond? No more than Daniel Craig was different from the previous James Bonds. It might be a little different, might be heavier on action, or might be heavier on story. but it's definitely still going to be James Bond. We're going to get James Bond films eventually. I guarantee this. People love James Bond. Even if you've never seen a James Bond film, you know who James Bond is. So you're going to see another James Bond film. All right, guys. So that's my tier list for James Bond. Skyfall, S tier, obviously. Casino Royale, No Time to Die. I think we're both A tier, but I could see No Time to Die being dropped down to B. Spectre, I think, is a solid film. I think it's a good end to the Bond series. But if you don't watch the other films, it's not as good, which is kind of a problem for it. Especially since all the other ones are so much more self-contained. And then Quantum of Solace is the worst one. Not bad, it's just the worst. There are better ones. I still enjoyed it. I could watch it again, but I'm not going to watch these films for a while because I've watched 5 films in 5 days. All right, guys. That's my tier list. Those are my thoughts on James Bond, Daniel Craig series. We're definitely going to get another one in 5, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years at the longest. That's the longest I think they're going to wait to start making another one. Anyways, guys, I'll see you all next time, VOD. And remember, don't believe in yourself. Believe in me, who believes in you. Bye-bye. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the tier list from my Monday stream. If you want to join in live, click the link to my Twitch channel in the description. If you liked the video, please click that like button. And if you want to see more, click that subscribe button. I'll see you all next time. Have a wonderful day.